Thank you for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Manchester police have made 3 more arrests in the suicide bombing following a pop concert that killed more than 20 people. Dale Hurd has the latest.
The terror threat level in Britain has been raised to critical as Prime Minister Theresa May warned that another attack may be imminent. Today's arrest could confirm the suspicion by authorities that 22-year-old Salman Abedi did not act alone. Abedi detonated a device at the end of a concert by American singer Ariana Grande. Bethany Keeling was near the exit when the bomb went off.
Saw like flash, like an explosion flash. I grabbed my friend's hand and just ran. But we looked and we could see the bodies on the floor.
Abedi was born in Britain to immigrants from Libya. He grew up in Manchester and even attended a local university. Police blew the door off his Manchester home just miles from the concert arena, looking for evidence including his phone and computer. The youngest victim, Safi Rousseau's, just 8 years old. Another victim, 15-year-old Olivia Campbell. Before learning of her death, Olivia's uncle stood at the hospital doors showing everyone her picture and hoping to find her. The number of wounded has climbed to 64.
Of those, approximately 20 are receiving critical care. That means very urgent care at the present time.
And some are still missing, like Martin Hett, separated from his friends at the end of the show. And this mother, Wendy Fowle, who hasn't been seen since the concert. Reaction to the attack has ranged from defiance to calls for unity, and one headline suggesting the British should just get used to being attacked. Israel's Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman weighed in, saying terrorism is unlikely to stop in Europe because of its politically correct character, and that every bombing in Europe leads to a lot of talk but little action. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
The people of Manchester showed their love and support for the victims of the attack at a prayer vigil in the town square Tuesday. Thousands came to grieve, pray, and mourn the loss. Despite the heightened terror alert, they came to leave flowers and to light candles. Manchester is known as a vibrant city with a strong church community. Pastor Anthony Delaney says churches will work to bring hope and healing to the suffering.
In terms of what the church in Manchester is going to do, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to tell people that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth and the life, that there's love in heaven with everybody's name on it for every person in this city. In the Psalms it says the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and we're going to keep on in Jesus' name trying to be close and available to help, to do the Good Samaritan thing Jesus told us to go to those in need and to be able to help as best we can, and if we can't help, stay out of the way and pray.
Similar vigils were held across the globe to show solidarity for the people of Manchester. President Trump is in Rome for the 3rd leg of his world religion tour. The president met with Pope Francis at the Vatican earlier today. He presented the pontiff with a case of books written by civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. The Pope gave President Trump a medal with an olive branch. That's the symbol of peace. He also gave the president several books, one of the family, one of the gospel, and one on caring for the environment. The two leaders, who have disagreed over issues like immigration, then had a private meeting. Taiwan is now the first Asian nation to recognize same-sex marriage. The country did not allow gay unions, and its court ruled that barring same-sex marriage was a violation of the Constitution. Authorities are now required to enact or amend relevant laws within the next 2 years. Legislation enforcing the new ruling is already working its way through the legislature, where both parties support the legislation of same-sex marriage. Taiwan already has a large community, and their annual Gay Pride Parade is the biggest in Asia. The majority of the public is also in favor of same-sex marriage. That is according to recent surveys. Muslim extremists abducted a Catholic priest and more than a dozen churchgoers on Tuesday night in the Philippines. The Philippine president placed 22 million people under military rule because of the threats from ISIS militants. The extremists took over buildings, ambushed soldiers, and put up Islamic State flags as they took over streets and bridges. The incident happened after the Philippine Army was completing an operation to capture a top ISIS leader. The U.S. has offered a bounty of $5 million for his arrest. June 5th marks the 50th anniversary of Israel's battle over the biblical heartland of Jerusalem, and the docudrama that recounts the critical day in history hit theaters on Tuesday. Moviegoers are raving about In Our Hands, the Battle for Jerusalem, and CBN News was there to hear why the film is capturing their hearts.
From the Big Apple to our nation's capital, moviegoers are raving about In Our Hands, the Battle for Jerusalem.
It was well done.
Just wow, I totally loved it.
The CBN-produced docudrama recounts the harrowing tale of Israel's six-day war and the paratroopers who led them to victory. Here in Washington, D.C., that tale of survival came to life on the big screen and debuted to sold-out audiences across the country. Included in the audience, Beltway celebrity and Redskins quarterback Kirk Cousins.
It became very real to me in the news. Israel seems like a far off place with stories that don't affect me on a day-to-day basis, but watching that documentary and hearing Mr. Robertson's summary at the end, it comes to life and it becomes very real and hits home.
Theater goers here say the movie had a very personal meaning.
My husband is Christian, I'm Jewish, so we have an immediate bond right there. But it also gives me hope that in this world it's visible how Jews and Christians can live so peacefully together and in such harmony together and with such respect.
And that feeling was mutual across the country.
Here at the New York City premiere of In Our Hands, we had a predominantly Jewish audience, many of whom remembered the events of the Six-Day War firsthand. They came out emotional, thankful that a younger generation would get to learn the lessons of Israel's history.
And having lived through it, it's an emotional experience for me.
It was incredible. I spent half of it crying. It's a story I know. My family is Israeli. I know so many soldiers, but it was really retold in an amazing fashion.
And deep in the heart of Texas, more of the same, with viewers saying the movie couldn't have come at a better time.
I think it's such a vital time that we're living in. We need more awareness about Jerusalem and its role here in the world.
And I think it's going to make a difference in the hearts of people to see this and be reminded of God's hand on that nation.
It's a message making an impact on viewers and spreading fast.
Well, I was already texting friends on the way out, telling them they need to come and see it.
How did you like it?
Very much.
It's a 50-year-old piece of history that's capturing the heart of a modern audience. Amber C. Strong for CBN News in Washington.
Israel's history forever. We're going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at the film that tells us the personal stories of the men who gave their lives for freedom. In Our Hands, The Battle for Jerusalem is one of CBN's largest productions to date. We work with nearly 250 actors and extras, including Israeli paratroopers. Every line of dialogue comes from records, diaries, and interviews. Many of the battles were filmed in their exact locations. I sat down with some of the members of the cast and crew to see how they made this epic film.
We shall destroy Israel and its inhabitants.
Arab nations surrounded Israel in 1967 with a battle plan.
Our goal is clear: to wipe Israel off the map.
That outmanned and outgunned the young country.
The Syrian army, with its finger on the trigger, is united. I believe the time has come to begin a battle of annihilation.
The Jewish nation's survival hinged on a war that would last only 6 days. Those days are relived in the film In Our Hands, The Battle for Jerusalem, through the compelling stories of Israeli paratroopers.
If you live here, you won't be coming back.
But if I don't leave, none of you will be coming back.
Production for In Our Hands took just under a year to complete, and one of the most pivotal battle scenes was shot right here at Ammunition Hill.
We did the shooting on this Jeep right here. This was actually originally Mota Gur's Jeep, the character played by Sharon.
On location at Ammunition Hill, we talked with actors Idan Barkai and Sharon Friedman.
My grandfather Aaron,
was in the siege on Jerusalem before, and he was telling about it for me, to me when I was young, and it was like, you know, it's like unbelievable that I'm playing like the one that, you know, released the city and take it back, which is the place that my grandfather used to be here, like, you know, unprotected.
Sharon plays 55th Brigade Commander Motagur. Idan plays Chief Intelligence Officer Arik Akman.
You want me to plan an entire war in 2 days? Yes? I'm at the university full time. I'm about to take my final exam. So, you'd better get to work.
Both of these gentlemen, very impressive in terms of their lives, and they're real life people.
Yeah.
Were you nervous about portraying people who people celebrate and are heroes?
You feel obligated to honor that person, but he's just Arik Akman is such a great person. I was humbled, you know. I just tried to do my best, tried to give out the emotion and the tension of the moment I was in. Me myself, I served the army, but I never really fought in big, great wars, fortunately.
This film hits close to home for many cast members.
I myself was in the army in the paratroopers, so I could give my input to the part and the movie, but it was more real than just a memory of the Israel history.
Ishai Ben Moshe plays 71st Battalion Commander Yoram Zamosh.
Did you learn anything new about the Six-Day War while filming this?
The movie showed me that it's not like we learned in the school. When you learn it, you know all the dates and what happened, but you don't live it.
Were there any scenes that were difficult for you, or the most memorable scene for you? What was it?
The most memorable was with the actress Ruth Farhi, who plays the woman that gives me the flag of Israel to put on the wall. It was a very emotional scene.
I brought you a flag. This flag flew in the old city before we left in 1948. When you get to the wall, I want you to hang this flag.
Of course. It will be our honor.
Action.
Guiding these emotional scenes, producer and director Aaron Zimmerman.
There are so many amazing human stories. I didn't want to do a dry documentary, you know, where you have old footage and you're saying, well, this regiment moved here and this regiment moved here.
Of course, this being a film about war, there's a lot of darkness in it. But I felt like there's also a lot of light in the film as well. Is my assessment correct, and was that intentional?
It was intentional to end on a high note, but it was also my intention not to give an empty, hey, yay, war, we won, because there was so many casualties. Absolutely. And there were so many injuries and people who, both mentally and physically, were never the same after that war.
Tell me who. Giora Ashkenazi, Yair Goldberg, Zaki David, Yoav Tsuri.
And if you missed your chance to see In Our Hands last night, don't worry, there now will be an encore presentation in theaters on June 1st. Simply check out cbnnews.com for more information. Up next, from coast to coast, around the world and back, one handbag company is making a name for itself by supporting military soldiers and their spouses. Long military deployments aren't just tough on the people overseas, they're hard on the families left back at home. Military spouses often have to be mom and dad, plus the chauffeur and the nanny and the handyman all at the same time. That's why one company decided to create a support network for military spouses. And as Caitlin Burke shows us, it gives them an opportunity to make some money at the same time.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you this important bulletin from the United Press.
December 1941. The bombing of Pearl Harbor spurs the United States to enter what would become the deadliest war in history. 16 million men signed up for the fight, and women played a key role in factories and shipyards making munitions and supplies. Their work led to Rosie the Riveter becoming a cultural icon, and today she still serves as an inspiration. The manufacturing company R. Riveter employs military spouses who carry on the tradition of supporting their soldiers and country.
She just really embodied everything about military spouses and standing up for women's right to work and that empowerment, and really what those women did during the Second World War when they stood up and said, I'm going to do this not just for myself and my family, but for the country and for the greater good.
Cameron Cruz and Lisa Bradley understand the hardship of being married to the military.
When I was moving around as frequently as you do in the military, I felt like I was losing my identity. You know, my husband had this really awesome job where he's jumping out of airplanes and doing all these really neat things that are really helping his country. And a lot of times I felt like the best thing I got done in the day was the laundry.
Jennifer Bender and her husband lived in different places of the world during the first 5 years of their marriage.
When they're deployed, you become the head of the household and you have to do everything. So I was the only person to take care of 3 kids. I was in charge of cleaning the house, doing the laundry, and also doing the yard work. So it was tough.
On top of deployment, military spouses have to deal with the added stress of moving every 2 to 3 years.
I think every time that you move, you lose a little bit of who you were at that location. Every time you move, you kind of are like, well, what job am I going to have? What friends am I going to find?
It was a problem that Cruz and Bradley knew affected other women and helped plant the idea of starting R. Riveter.
The first thing we did was decide the why. So we asked ourselves, you know, what is the most important about what our company is going to do? And it was helping military spouses.
The goal? Create a flexible network for military spouses. Give them the opportunity to work and earn an income, no matter where the military takes them. They use their sewing skills to craft the parts and pieces of handbags made from upcycled military parachutes, coats, and uniforms.
So a tent that once kept a soldier warm and dry now serves a different purpose in supporting the military.
We want to take our part in our country, be part of the American economy, and even though we're moving around, still be able to have those opportunities.
For the business duo, that opportunity eventually led them to ABC's The Shark Tank. While they've enjoyed unimaginable success, the heart of the mission hasn't changed.
I think the military spouses are so important to support because they're the ones that are behind our service members that are doing so much, and sometimes they really are unsung heroes. They are at home worrying about their spouse. They do so much for our country that we don't really realize.
Jennifer says joining R. Riveter changed her life.
It's the best work environment that I've ever worked in. I think for the first month, I probably cried on the way to work every single day because I just love it so much.
Coming into the military community was something that really scared me. I was not really aware of all the ups and downs. I feel like R. Riveter has been that saving grace for me.
Production manager Laura Vian says this network helps support one another in good times and bad.
These women in this community has just, been there for me. They've been my best friends, and I couldn't ask for a better job, so.
It's a community that's finding a reason to smile, despite the hardship, sacrifices, and challenges they've faced.
Think about military spouses and what they're doing at home. They're the ones that, although they're not wearing the uniform, they're still serving their country in a unique way.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Southern Pines, North Carolina.
When a soldier is called, the entire family serves. So nice to see that at work. Stay with us. There's more CBN News Watch straight ahead. It is time now for your Wednesday word, and today's word is expectation. Be careful in what you expect from God. Consider this: God will always bless you, but don't get stuck looking for him to always do it the very same way. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever, but he isn't always doing it the same way. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about always at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make this a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.